In the Oddworld story that we've seen in the game so far, Molluck the Glukkon is the main antagonist to the main character. With the upcoming release of Oddworld Soulstorm, I felt it'd be interesting to recount the story of Molluck, but particularly what you haven't seen in the games before. Oddworld lore is so expansive and consequently there's a lot of information that hasn't even appeared in any media officially released by Oddworld inhabitants so far. Molluck was put in charge of several factories run by the Molluck cartel, most notably Rapture Farms 1029 and Soulstorm Brewery 401. He was seen as a fearsome boss not only by Abe and the other slaves that worked in his factories, but also by Glukkons under his payroll.
Molluck's gonna be pissed. First Rapture Farms, now Necromines. If he ever comes back, we're screwed!
A theme running throughout all of Oddworld, however, is, as Master Qui-Gon would say, there's always a bigger fish. And even though Molluck is portrayed this way, it's shown within the introduction of Abe's Oddysee that Molluck is a servant himself of even more Glukkons, executives and investors. Moreover, he's also a servant to his mother, the Queen Glukkon Lady Margaret, supreme ruler of the Molluck cartel. Perhaps what makes Molluck stand out from other Glukkons is, as Abe says, Molluck was cool. Whereas other Glukkons might falter under pressure from investors, Molluck was always calm, collected, and had a plan to sort out any problems with a firm hand. A slick servant hand, I guess. He proved himself to be potentially one of the few pragmatic Glukkons that's been seen, alongside Vice President Aslick, I'd argue, the ones who don't shout and panic when a problem presents itself, but remain calm and think of a solution instead. Where others see problems, they see opportunity. That being said, I don't think Molluck was as shrewd as Aslick. He often proved to his peers that he deserved to belong where he was, though this could just be a necessary consequence of natural selection in this sloggy slog Oddworld. I've occasionally wondered why in-universe Molluck is referred to by Abe as Molluck the Glukkon. I mean, in real life you wouldn't call your boss Dan the Human. Though it's been suggested to me that it's sort of like saying Dan the Man, or like you're the man, or something like that. He's not just a Glukkon, he's the Glukkon. In Oddworld Abe's Oddysee, of course, to sum up the story that everyone here probably knows, Rapture Farms' profits are turning up thin and Molluck says, watch, we're gonna turn our slaves into food. For some reason the investors never consider that a health inspector might have a problem with that, and Molluck is really unlucky because at that moment his employee of the month just happens to be spying in on a meeting and ends up destroying the factory in response to this. I guess that serves Molluck right for deciding to unveil his plan to turn his slaves into food in the middle of the place where his slaves work while leaving the door open. Actually, I guess that's his slick servant's fault. Molluck can't exactly shut the door himself, I suppose. Anyway, before Abe's captured, he kills the Glukkon executives, for which you'd think Molluck would be thankful, but no, he didn't take kindly to having his factory severely damaged and decides to personally, via his slig, execute him. The canon ending of this, of course, is that the slaves that you freed in the game, which you did, didn't you, do the chant that for some reason they don't bother doing any other time, which sends lightning bolts to the Rapture Farms, hits Molluck with surprising precision, rescues Abe, and destroys the factory. So Molluck's dead, right? If you only looked at the games up until Oddworld Soulstorm, unless you choose to believe the theory that he's blinking here after he's been struck, you'd say yes, he's dead. He was directly struck by lightning and was in a factory that got destroyed. He'd have to be a bloody cockroach to survive that, or whatever the Oddworld equivalent of cockroaches are. They're probably called like Kirkroaches or something like that. Of course, it's already been confirmed that Molluck will be coming back in Oddworld Soulstorm, but prior to this it was already known for a very, very long time that Molluck survived and was meant to return, as my colleague newscaster Slig says in this unused early footage of Oddworld Munch's Oddysee.
Remember those outlying franchise disasters? Rapture Farms and Soulstorm Brewery? Well, the main Gluck responsible for those facilities was thought to have perished in the Rapture Farms fire. However, he's been found. That's right, Molluck the Glukkon, believed to have been a crispy treat, has been confirmed alive and oh, not so well. With trial dates already set, Molluck is to face off with no other than the Uguay Estate Queen Gluck herself, Lady Margaret. Ow! It might have been better had he cooked in the fire. More on this story as it develops.
Thanks, Newscaster Slig. So Molluck was meant to be in Oddworld Munch's Oddysee and was going to face trial from Margaret the Queen Glukkon for losing Rupture Farms and Soulstorm Brewery, and by the sounds of it, it sounds like he had very thin chances of winning and was likely going to lose, which is not good for him as he'd likely be called by his mother. After all, and this could be a coincidence, but apparently Molluck's name resembles the name of the Canaanite god of child sacrifice Molluck, according to the Oddworld wiki anyway. This storyline was likely one of the many elements that got cut from Munch's Oddysee after development was moved from the PlayStation 2 to the Xbox, a tragic event in gaming history. It's rather ironic that Molluck himself has been completely absent from all of the Oddworld games after the first one in 1997, as it is clear that he was meant to be either the main antagonist or simply play a large role throughout the entire Oddworld quintology. Oddworld Abe's Exodus wasn't initially planned and was made as Oddworld Inhabitants. Publishers wanted them to release the game quickly after the success of Abe's Oddysee. They had initially intended to move directly onto Oddworld Munch's Oddysee, and of course Molluck was meant to be in Munch's Oddysee originally, which easily could have happened in other circumstances where development of that game was more smooth. So who knows where Molluck's story was meant to go on from there. Molluck being put on trial clearly puts him against the Glukkons, and many think that Molluck would end up turning to the good side, joining Abe as a result. Who knows, maybe the plan, in a spectacularly ironic twist, was for Molluck to be the hero of the final game in the Oddworld quintology, Oddworld Molluck's Oddysee. While we know that Molluck is returning in Oddworld Soulstorm, we don't know what role he will play, except Lorne Lanning has said that the other Glukkons and investors believe Molluck destroyed Rupture Farms intentionally to claim the insurance money, and he now has to answer for this supposed crime. I also wonder if this means Molluck isn't the head of Soulstorm Brewery like he absently is in Abe's Exodus. Either way, it appears the trial storyline will finally be making its appearance, and it will be interesting to see what will happen with Molluck. Some think he might end up as an ally of Abe. Maybe Abe has to save him. We'll just have to wait to find out the rest of the story of Molluck the Glukkon by playing Oddworld Soulstorm.
Hello, follow me.